everyone, this is Bo from Kyber Network. Welcome to our Any Token Anywhere series. So today we are here with Tom and Kyle, the co-founder of the bZx. bZx recently launched this lending margin platform called Fulcrum, which also integrates with Kyber. Congratulations on the launch, Tom, Kyle, and thanks for joining the call.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
I'm super excited to introduce Fulcrum and then find out more about it. Shall you give us some introduction about Fulcrum?
Yeah, so Fulcrum is a margin lending and margin trading platform. You can go up to 4 times long or 4 times short on ETH and a variety of other ERC20s. Everything in Fulcrum is tokenized, so when you lend out your assets on Fulcrum, you receive back a token representing that loan. That token constantly increases in value. You can use that token, you can sell that token to recover your funds plus interest. You can use it as collateral in loans. If you take out a position, that position is also tokenized. So this has a lot of applications in ETFs and collateralizing loans and all of that. So we tried to make Fulcrum as easy to use as possible. That was the goal. So we try to make it so everything can be done in 3 clicks. So you get all the information and have to think as little about it as possible.
Then can you walk us through on the different function? Shall we start with the lending?
Yeah. So to lend, you just go to the lend screen. You click the lend button of the assets you want to lend. You pick how much, you tell it how much of it you want to lend out. And then you hit lend. Walks you through the process right here. Tells you to submit the MetaMask transaction. You submit the MetaMask transaction. Now it's updating the blockchain. The transaction is being mined. And when it's done being mined, your funds have been lent out. And you've gotten an ERC20 representing the token back in your wallet. It's that easy.
What is the token called that I'm going to receive?
It's called iETH. It's the interest-bearing version of ETH.
Oh, I see. iETH. And then so every order lending position, I'm receiving new I token.
Right. And, and eventually I'm sure Kyber will have these available. So if you wanted to lend out your ETH, you could go to Kyber and swap your ETH for iETH and just like that get into a loan. Or swap your ETH for iDai and get into a loan. And Uniswap will have reserves and all of that as well. So there'll be a lot of ways in order to lend your assets out.
Cool. How does the interest determine for the respective token? And I also see some token has with the 0% interest rate. Does it mean that Fulcrum is opening up the token holder to become a lender on the platform?
So the interest rates are determined by supply and demand. As you can see, more people have been borrowing DAI in USD than the other tokens.
I see.
So if nobody has borrowed one of the tokens, the interest that you'll see is 0%. But and this works, and it works similar on other platforms too, like Compound. When you borrow, it's going to give you the rate that corresponds to the level of utilization. These are the lending interest rates, which are different from the borrowing interest rates. The borrowing interest rate for BAT right now is 1%. So if somebody borrowed a little bit of BAT, it would increase this to maybe 0.0001% like it is with 0x. So nobody has borrowed BAT, REP, or KNC yet. And so that's why those have 0% interest rates. There's been quite a bit of borrowing of DAI in USDC. That's why they have higher interest rates. And so it's just supply and demand, like platforms like Compound.
Is there a feature that I can borrow the asset this lenders put?
So in terms of borrowing, we're going to be releasing an interface for that in the near future. and that'll have a very different flow to it. So we're gonna have like ENS loans where you can just send your funds to an ENS address and get a loan back, or use your wallet, and it's going to have a dashboard and things like that people who are borrowers actually want. So that should be coming soon. So if I want to lend, I just, like right now the max amount is selected. I just lend. Brings up the mask prompt. I hit confirm, and that's it.
Wow, it's like really that simple. Actually, I read it on the blog post as say, if I'm an Ethereum holder, I want to earn some interest and then put some Ether on the Fulcrum. And then for next 28 days, I will accrue, like iToken will accrue the fixed rate, correct? Then it will automatically readjust the interest rates based on demand and supply and continue on going until I decide to until I want to exit my position.
Exactly, and you could even send those tokens to a wallet that is in cold storage. So you could actually be lending while your funds are in cold storage. So if you don't have your funds attached to a hot wallet or something like that for security.
I see. Okay, that's really interesting. Shall we move on to next page?
Yeah, so next page is the trading page. So if you want to, say you want to take a leverage long position in Ethereum, which someone might want to do nowadays as the market is going up. So you see, you have the asset price. That's the price that Ethereum's at. The liquidation price. That's where your position gets liquidated if Ethereum falls to that price. And then the interest rate, which is the borrowing interest rate of what you're of the asset that you have to get from lenders. So in this case, it's 11.5. That's because you're borrowing DAI. There's a lot of people borrowing DAI. So if you wanted to borrow or go 2 times long on ETH, it's a very simple process again. So you just select the level of leverage you want. Then you hit buy. You select the amount that you want to buy. So if I'm buying 0.2 ETH worth of this 2x long, that's giving me 0.4 ETH exposure total. So it's like I'm holding 0.4 ETH. And I hit buy. MetaMask comes up. I say, okay, and that's it.
Then how often does the platform update this asset price? Is there any latency?
We're actually getting all the prices from the Kyber price feed, so it they update in. It's not quite real time right now, but it you can refresh and you'd have the latest data.
Oh, okay. So on trading, when I do the margin, open up the new margin position, I'll receive another new token. Is it same to the lending token?
It's each level of leverage for each asset and each direction has its own token. So ETH 2 times short has its own token, and also there's different tokens depending on the unit of account that you use. So some people might want to borrow USDC. Some people want to borrow DAI. So you can see right here the second row, unit of account.
Yeah.
So I went and I borrowed ETH borrowed ETH, and then I traded ETH into USDC. So the fact that I went to USDC, it makes it a different token than if I had gone into DAI. So there's a separate ERC20 for each currency pair that you're shorting, and for each level of leverage. I tokens for lenders, P tokens for traders.
Oh, P token, I see. P stands for perpetual? Sorry.
Position.
A position.
Because these P tokens are tokenized in ERC20s, somebody could create a Kyber reserve for them. And then, like, if they wanted to margin trade on Kyber just by buying one of the tokens on Kyber Swap, that could be possible. Or somebody could create a reserve on Uniswap and that would be possible, whatever they wanted to do.
Once my margin order get fulfilled, I want to get my investment back. I just come to my dashboard and sell my tokens.
Exactly. Now, it's an interesting thing to note. It's actually better, strictly better to, or in the 99% of cases, it's actually better to buy I tokens and especially to buy P tokens rather than mint them here on Fulcrum. And there's two reasons for that.
Okay.
One reason is that when you get into a P token position, you're increasing the loan utilization ratio, and that increases the amount of interest not only you're paying, but everyone holding the tokens paying. And the other thing is that while it's not very expensive to mint, it does cost some amount to mint the P tokens, significantly more than the I tokens. But if you simply buy them from Kyber, the interest rate doesn't go up, and you're only paying for the amount of a Kyber swap. Nobody has created a reserve yet for it. Someone could create a permission reserve on Kyber, and that would be the best way, likely, for them to sell it in terms of gas, and the best way for people to buy it as well.
For the casual trader or the DeFi newbie who want to trade the margin trading like as a first time, so how would it beneficial for them when liquidating their margin position on Fulcrum as compared to other platforms?
We don't charge you any liquidation penalties. So if you go under margin maintenance, anybody can call in and liquidate you. And out of your collateral will come their gas cost, which could be a few dollars. But there's not an additional percentage penalty. So like on other platforms like MakerDAO and Compound and all pretty much all of the other platforms, there's like a 5% penalty where you just lose 5% of your assets.
Yeah. And
you don't lose that on Fulcrum. You just you have to pay for the gas, but and that's also prevents sort of like free riding. Like you should be closing out your own position, when it's getting to liquidation, or you should close it out to some extent so that your margin maintenance is higher. And so if you do that, it saves the system gas, because it doesn't cost much gas to close out the position, but it does cost quite a bit of gas to margin call it, because we have to make a lot of calls to Kyber to verify that the margin call is legitimate and should be processed and all of that. So the other thing is, if you go under margin maintenance and you're a trader, we don't fully liquidate you. So margin maintenance is about 15%. We'll liquidate you at 15% and bring you up to 25%. Make your current margin 25%. So that is very helpful for traders, because some other platforms, once they go under margin maintenance, that's it. Their entire position is closed.
Yeah.
They're locked in. They have no chance to get back the exposure that they had and recover their funds if the market rebounds. So we thought it was really important. The third thing is we implement slippage protections as well. So if you have a large position, we don't let it just all get liquidated in one large transaction that ends up losing you too much of your collateral. So if slippage is going to go over 10%, the transaction just reverts. And what the liquidator will need to do is they'll need to close out the position in smaller chunks on Kyber. So they need to do a more efficient execution. And the same thing applies if you're in a position that's large, and you try to make a trade on Kyber that makes you lose 10% of your assets. We'll stop that from happening and have you close it out a little bit more slowly.
So summarize it. There's three main benefits. First, lower liquidation penalty. Second, slippage protection. Partial liquidation, and then last one is a slippage protection.
Right.
Oh, cool. Awesome. What role does Kyber plays in fulfilling the function of Fulcrum besides the price feed?
When you trade into a position, first behind the scenes, it's borrowed from an iToken pool. Then we use Kyber. Uh, then we use Kyber to take those borrowed assets and change them in to the trade asset. So, for example, with ETH 2 times short, we borrow ETH, then we use Kyber to exchange that into USDC.
Oh.
So for trading liquidity, we use Kyber. For liquidations, we use Kyber. So if somebody margin calls, what happens is the first thing that happens is the account balance is checked against the Kyber price feed, and then that's okay. Then it starts making calls to Kyber to liquidate that position.
Are there any geographical limitation for the platform at this moment?
There are no geographical limitations, and the platform is extremely decentralized. There was an article written like how decentralized is DeFi, and Fulcrum is the most decentralized. Decentralization is a continuum, but Fulcrum is the most decentralized on that continuum compared to every other lending dApp in DeFi right now.
Yeah.
So we don't even have a backend or server. It's very much its own decentralized app. We could put it up on IPFS and walk away, and Fulcrum would still be there for everyone.
For everyone, that sounds really interesting. Share me the link so I can add it on the below in the comment section. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing your insight, Tom, Kyle. I'm sure that our viewers have learned a lot through this session and they're ready to try the Fulcrum. Looking forward to continue work closely together, and all the best for you guys and then bZx team.
Yeah, thank you. It was great talking.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, and guys, if you have any question regarding Fulcrum, you can join the bZx, the Telegram group chat. I'll leave the link below. Or you can join Kyber. Kyle and Tom will be there to guide us. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.